Hi there, my name is Christina, and I just want to spend a few minutes with you here today to share my story and tell you why I'm here. I grew up on a farm and in a small town in rural Alberta, Canada. After I graduated, I went to business school and I got a pretty good job, corporate job, raised a son. Life was going pretty good. And then, out of the blue, as life happens, I got into a major car accident, and that changed absolutely everything. Um, I experienced some pretty bad injuries. Upper body, I had whiplash, and the seatbelt, big bruise across my chest, and the worst of my problem that I experienced was a head injury. My left side of the head here smacked the driver side of the window, and so I don't know what you know about concussions, but in general, if a person gets hit on the front or the back, and the impact is going to cause a concussion, it's going to heal fairly quickly. It's not going to have the most intense symptoms compared to if you have an impact site on the side of your head. The reason for that is because the brain twists, and as it does, it tears the membranes. So for me, the way my doctor described it is because my car spun around a few times and then I hit the side, so my brain was slungshot around in my skull a few times and then hit the side there. So I actually had a few impact sites. What they diagnosed it as a traumatic brain injury, and post-concussion syndrome. So I really dealt with that for quite a long time. At the time, the pain was just super intense. The pressure in my head and ringing in my ears, light sensitive, and just all the body aches. And, so I know what it's like to not be able to sleep because you're in just so much pain, and no position can feel comfortable. Every position feels uncomfortable. It's awful. Like, waking up and having tear streaks dried on your cheeks because you had cried through the night in pain. And yeah, it's not a good time, that's for sure. And yeah, it changed my life. I was unable to walk really for more than a few minutes at a time, or stand. So obviously I couldn't drive, I couldn't go to work, I couldn't cook for myself or take care of myself really. So it was pretty rough. I had a lot of shifting of peer group. I no longer was hanging out or talking to my coworkers really, and I had some key friends shifted away from me, and my relationship ended, and some relationships in my family had some conflict going on, and it was just really a rough time for me. About 2 weeks after the car accident is when all that stuff with COVID happened, so everything was closed, and all that, what happened and how crazy it was. And so for me, it was intensified because with the damage I had, particularly damage to my amygdala, my emotions were really up there. And so, yeah, it was a really hard time for me. I'd say I went into a big depression for, I'd say, over a year and a half, went into a major grief spiral. But I had a really great doctor, and she set me up with a good team of professionals. And so I had physio, I was taking care of my body. I took a little course through the primary care network called Dealing with Pain or Coping with Chronic Pain or something. And in that, I had a major light bulb moment, realizing, having them describe how your mindset affects how your body responds to pain and it was just a huge wake-up call for me, because I was able to look back at the previous year and see myself, where my mindset was at and my pain levels were at, and my coping skills and all that, and how it really was tied together. And then, so as soon as I really realized and recognized that, yeah, that's true, I decided to work on not only fix my body through the physio and all but I wanted to fix my mind, deal with my mindset. So I started following people on YouTube, and I joined some personal growth groups on Facebook. I took some courses for dealing with pain, trauma, and PTSD. yeah, I did a lot of different things in the following couple of years to really try to expand my knowledge and heal myself. And yeah, one of the courses I did was pretty amazing. I experienced some major transformations there, some just major learning, recognizing that, what we resist persists. And the fact that I'd spent about over a year just complaining, oh, why did this happen to me, and this and that, and this hurts and that hurts, and whining and just hyper focused on it almost, that in a way I was just making it continue. I was not letting it go because I was not letting it go. So just really letting myself be okay with where I was at and not becoming so hyper focused on what hurt and what I was missing out on. And also I learned that a lot of times when people experience trauma, it just really stops us, and the world doesn't stop with us. And a lot of times our peer group does shift because of that, because people keep going, life keeps going, everything keeps happening. It's just us that have to take that time out and heal and recover, and the world doesn't stop. And so when I really recognized that that is a thing, and it didn't mean there was something less about me or I wasn't good enough in some way, that really helped as well to experience some positive forward shifts in my life. I learned how to set healthy boundaries. If you've ever experienced even a broken leg, and your buddies want to go for a walk, you have to say no. You can't go for a walk. Your body physically won't let you. So that's where I was at. I'd previously been a people pleaser and doing for everyone, and I had to learn how to say no because I physically couldn't, and I had to respect myself. And that was a really big thing for me. I can see that I had really been overextending myself in areas where I didn't need to be. Like the people still love me if I could, do something for them or not, so that was a nice thing to really wake up to as well. Yeah, I learned to really pay attention to what I'm thinking about, and because our thoughts really, some people just let their thoughts, and I'm guilty of this too, just going wild and rampant and not focusing or paying attention or directing it. And our brains have something called a negative bias, something like that, and we generally tend to go towards the negative. And if we don't consciously become aware of what we're thinking about, we're going to end up thinking about dwelling on the past or comparing ourselves to others or thinking about all this crap that's really not important or necessary to be thinking about. So yeah, it sounds easier than it is. It's not easy. I spent over a year focusing many times a day. I'd notice like, oh, why am I thinking about that again? It's only upsetting me. And having to deliberately stop thinking about that and direct my thoughts to something else. And it was frustrating. It was like, when you have an owie in your mouth and your tongue just won't stop going in there. That's what it was like with having to guide my thoughts. And I'm still obviously not perfect. No one's ever going to be perfect, I'm sure. But I catch myself thinking about negative things all the time. And I just have to say, that's not important, and focus on something more positive. And yeah, all this has just really changed the scope of my life and where I've been at, what I've been doing. Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm here. I've just decided, I've kind of found it a mission to help others who have experienced trauma or grief or, are stuck in depression and just feel hopeless. I just really want to be able to be there for others and teach them what I've learned, that different ways of thinking and just waking up to different ideas about human behavior and how people react. And, there's just so many different aspects to people that you don't even consider. And once you start to realize some of these things, your relationships grow and you grow and just life gets better. I couldn't work for almost 2 years, and a few months ago I was able to go back to work, just very part-time, couple days of work a week, couple hours a day. And I remember previous to the accident, my whole attitude about work was just negative and whiny, and there's always complaining about things there, and someone did this and that. And now it's just so different. I go to work and I'm grateful to be able to work, and I'm grateful to be able to see a couple of the same staff and have those moments where I'm feeling connected. I'd gotten so isolated, and so I'm so grateful now. And I think that has a lot to do with it too. Um, when I stopped whining about things, I really turned into gratitude, because could have been worse. I mean, I could have been in a coma permanently, or I could have been paralyzed, or I mean, things were rough, but it could have been worse. And so that was something to be grateful for. And just shifting that attitude about the details of my life is pretty amazing. And I just want to be able to help others do that same thing. Maybe find a different way to context their situation. Could be very helpful. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm on a healing journey. I'm continuing. I'm not healed by any means. I still have a neurologist. I'm working with my doctor. I'm only been able to go back to work, like I said, super part-time. And but that's not the point. The point is that I have gotten so much better, and my life has changed so much. And yeah, I just want to be there for others, to show them and tell them that theirs can too. And yeah, so that's what I'm learning about. And so stay tuned. I'm going to try to be posting regularly, sharing with you about my journey. And yeah, if that interests you, just let me know and follow along. Thanks for listening. Bye.